Hello you over 266,000 members of the Brohirrim and all of you who haven't subscribed yet. As we are in the Halloween season, evil is on the menu. So today we're diving deep into the shadowy depths of two of the most infamous places in Middle-earth history, Utumno and Angband, the strongholds of Morgoth himself. These were no mere castles. These places were pits of malice and despair where unimaginable evils were born. Today, we'll uncover the dark history of these fortresses, what they meant for Middle-earth, and how they may even compare to the better-known land of Mordor.
Build me a home worthy of Mordor.
Now Melkor began the delving and building of a vast fortress deep under earth, beneath dark mountains where the beams of Luthien were cold and dim. That stronghold was named Utumno, and though the Valar knew naught of it as yet, nonetheless the evil of Melkor and the blight of his hatred flowed out thence, and the spring of ardour was marred. Green things fell sick and rotted, and rivers were choked with weeds and slime, and fens were made, rank and poisonous, the breeding place of flies, and forests grew dark and perilous, the haunts of fear, and beasts became monsters of horn and ivory, and dyed the earth with blood. Let's kick things off with Utumno, Morgoth's first and greatest fortress, built after he entered Arda somewhere in the days before days between 3400 and 3450. It lay in the far northern reaches of Middle-earth, deep beneath the Iron Mountains, in a region so cold and desolate that the light of the Valar's two lamps barely reached it. Its pits and chambers extended so far beneath the earth that the Valar couldn't uncover all its secrets, even after its destruction. The blighted lands surrounded it remained desolate for ages, forever marred by Morgoth's corruption. So as you can see, Utumno wasn't just a fortress, it was the heart of Morgoth's corruption. Within its deep pits, Morgoth twisted life itself, creating countless dark and monstrous beings, including Balrogs, the twisted spirits of Maiar. Even more horrifying, Utumno is likely where Morgoth began his heinous work of corrupting elves into orcs. This fortress was the breeding ground for all of Morgoth's malice, his perversions of nature, and his rebellion against the Valar. Then there was Angband, originally built as an outlying defense for Utumno. Situated beneath the western end of the Iron Mountains, Angband was commanded by Sauron and designed as a buffer against any attacks from the Valar. But after the destruction of Utumno, Angband became Morgoth's primary fortress and the heart of his power. After that fall of Utumno, Morgoth raised Thangorodrim, three enormous volcanic peaks made of ash and poisonous gas above Angband's gates. These towering mountains were both a defensive measure and a symbol of Morgoth's overwhelming power, casting a shadow over the land of Beleriand. Utumno was vast, its labyrinthian tunnels reaching deep into the earth, while Angband, though similarly deep, was designed as a fortress of war. Both fortresses were nearly impenetrable, but served different purposes. Utumno was a place of corruption, and Angband was a military stronghold. Utumno was constructed around the year 3400 in the days before days, being those years before the years of the trees, as Morgoth's first fortress, as we've said, and this is where he really plotted his rebellion against the Valar. This was where his corruption of Arda began, spreading malice across the world and marring the Spring of Arda. In the year 1090 of the Years of the Trees, the Valar under Manwë launched a decisive campaign to bring Morgoth to justice after they discovered his evil influence on the newly awakened elves. This led to the Battle of the Powers, a cataclysmic conflict fought across the northern regions of Middle-earth. The Valar were victorious, their forces driving Morgoth's armies back to Utumno. After 9 years of siege, being between 1090 and 1099, the Valar broke the gates of Utumno, and Tolkien personally wrestled Morgoth, binding him with the Angainor chain. Morgoth's fortress was laid waste, its gates broken, but some of its deepest chambers remained hidden, sheltering his most loyal servants, such as Sauron and the Balrogs. This event also marked the beginning of the great journey of the elves, as they were summoned to Valinor to protect them from further evil. The Valar's victory over Morgoth was absolute, and Utumno was completely destroyed. While Utumno was Morgoth's original fortress, Angband rose to prominence after its fall. Angband had been built in the earliest days as a secondary fortress, commanded by Sauron. After Morgoth's defeat and imprisonment in Valinor for 3 ages, he returned to Middle-earth, reclaiming Angband as his seat of power. Morgoth raised the Legendarium above Angband, casting fear over all of Beleriand. From this fortress, Morgoth waged war against the elves during the First Age, unleashing orcs, balrogs, dragons, and other creatures of terror. Angband became infamous during the Siege of Angband, a 400-year-long period during which the Noldor surrounded the fortress, preventing Morgoth's forces from leaving. This siege was finally broken in 455 of the First Age during the Dagor Bragolach, the Battle of Sudden Flame, when Morgoth unleashed rivers of fire, breaking the elves' line and setting much of Beleriand ablaze. Angband's final destruction came in the year 587 of the First Age during the War of Wrath, when the Valar and their allies stormed the fortress. The Legendarium were destroyed, and Morgoth was finally captured and cast into the void, marking the end of his reign of terror. But with that all looked at, now let's compare these fortresses to a place that many of you may be more familiar with, Mordor. While Utumno and Angband were realms of unimaginable evil, they were very different from Mordor, the land of Sauron. Utumno, for example, was the birthplace of Morgoth's corruption, designed as a place to twist and pervert the natural world. It was more of a hidden lair, while Angband and Mordor were built as fortresses of war. Mordor, however, was much more strategically located. Mount Doom provided Sauron with the volcanic power to forge the One Ring, a resource Morgoth didn't need for his dominion. Angband's towering Legendarium, though just as imposing as Mount Doom, was more of a defensive measure, creating a suffocating stronghold designed to crush all hope. After Utumno was destroyed by the Valar, it was impossible to rebuild. However, Sauron created his own dark domain in Mordor, shaping it into a kingdom of terror. In this sense, Utumno was about the birth of evil, while Angband and Mordor were about domination and warfare. And so, there you have it, 2 of the darkest and most terrifying places in all of Tolkien's Legendarium, Utumno and Angband. These fortresses weren't just physical locations, they were manifestations of Morgoth's malice, shaping the evil that would plague Middle-earth for ages to come. Comparing them to Mordor, we see the evolution of evil in Middle-earth, from Morgoth's dominion of darkness to Sauron's era of war and control. While Morgoth's fortresses are long gone, their legacy and the fear they wrought still lingers in the stories of Middle-earth. And I would also like to take a moment at the end of this video today to give you a quick update on The Guard, the short film that we are creating. Everything is going amazing, we have just shot Block 2, and the rest of it should hopefully be shot soon too. As always, it is all the money from our Patreon that is funding this. In essence, it is a no-budget production if you consider the large scale of film, but every pound that you give is a massive help to create an incredible story. I'm putting a couple of shots on screen now and some behind-the-scenes clips to kind of give you an idea of what's going on, so if you would like to help support it a little bit more to help push us over the line, then please check out our Patreon. Every little bit really helps. And now it is time for my question of the day, which is, which of Morgoth's fortresses do you find most terrifying, and how do you think they truly compare to Sauron's Mordor? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. And now it is time to give a massive thank you to our patrons who continue to support the channel. You are all amazing. And if you have reached the very end of this video with me today and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It would massively help us out. And why not drop a like on the video as well? And with that, all I can say is, thank you for spending just some of your time with me today, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.